and posterior hip capsule stretch, starting off in a 4-point position. So having the hands underneath the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. And from here we're just going to go into a slight posterior tilt in the pelvis. So we're just going to roll back slightly to try and find more of a neutral spine position. So a nice straight line coming from the ear, the shoulder through the hips. And then from here, keeping the same hand position. And on this particular stretch we're going to concentrate on the right side. So it's going to be this right hip. And we're going to reach long with the opposite leg and reaching over the midline of the body. So the hand position is not changing. I'm leaning back slightly. So we're reaching long, so there's a nice straight line coming through the leg as well now. But this hip hasn't moved, but it's actually going through because of this leg. This leg is coming over to the right side. So we're coming over the midline. I'll show you a better angle in a second. So still keeping a neutral spine, and from here this is where you're going to be feeling quite a big stretch coming through into this hip here. So we want to have a bit of a lateral weight shift, so we're shifting into this hip, so we're moving to the right with the hip, but we're not rotating through the spine or the hip. Try and keep the hip as level as possible, so you're literally just weight shifting to the side, and this particular stretch to the right side. So this leg stays where it is in terms of knee position, but it is going in because of this opposite leg coming over. It's going to stretch deep into that hip capsule. And to make the stretch a little bit harder, a little bit more intensity in terms of the stretch, we can come down onto the forearms. So just coming down onto the forearms, still keeping a nice straight back. Try and keep the chin packed, and the elbows are going to be underneath the shoulders. Hands are just going to be underneath the eyes. Still keeping this stretch here. Still keeping this leg in the same position, but reaching long. So we're reaching away with that leg. So this is going to increase the stretch. And if we want to go one step further, if we want to stretch the back as well on the opposite side, so on the left side, that's when we can go into the shoulder flexion position, and we can reach over and then sink down a little bit deeper as well. So this arm is coming through over to this right side. So I'm reaching over to my right side with the left hand, and then that will increase the stretch even more on the left side of your back. And then, as always, when we're stretching, we want to have nice deep breaths. So we're just going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose and then exhale through the mouth. And as you exhale, we just want to ease down into the stretch that little bit further. So on the back view, excuse the position of the camera here, but we're going to reach over. So now you can see we're going to reach over the opposite side, reaching long. This hip, this leg here is not moving, but you can see the angle now. Now it goes into more of an abducted position, so it's moving into the midline, and that's where the stretch comes from. So this leg here, we're reaching long. Nice straight leg, nice neutral spine. So we from here, this is where there's going to be a lateral weight shift. So this is where we're shifting the weight into that hip, nice and smooth, without rotating the lower back or the hips. Keep the hips nice and level. So through here, this is where the hips remain level, but it's literally just a weight shift to that right side. It's very slight. And again, if you want to increase the stretch, you can reach longer through here, or we can come down onto the forearms, still keeping the pelvis level.